My name is Rachel Skunis, and I am a senior instrumental music education major. Since I performed a recital last semester, Dr. Beachy and I thought it'd be more beneficial for me to learn standard high school viola repertoire and learn how to teach it. These pieces included the Von Hall Viola Concerto, the 5 French Dances by Mary Murray, and Trauermusik by Hindemith, which I will be playing today. Trauermusik was composed in January of 1936, right after the passing of King George V. Hindemith was traveling to London to premiere his piece Der Schwanendrager, but just before midnight, the concert was canceled due to the king's death. The next day, they were toying around ideas on which piece that he should perform instead, because they felt that Der Schwanendrager was not appropriate for an event like this. They eventually came to the conclusion that they should just compose a whole nother piece, and that is where Trauermusik was composed. Trauermusik translates to music of mourning, and it is in 4 short movements, and they are the stages of grief. Specifically in the last movement, it is a somber setting of the Bach chorale, Thus I Stand by Your Throne, as it is very suitable for kings. Lastly, the movements are continuous, and I will be stopping after each movement to discuss trouble spots that students may have and how to teach them. The first movement of this piece is the bargaining and the denial stage of grief. And some issues that students may have are playing in 5th position and being comfortable playing in the upper range of the instrument. And harmonics are a huge thing, specifically just like with Hindemith. There's lots of accidentals, lots of flats, and the student must be able to hear what it sounds like in their head and then being able to put it onto their instrument. It is also rhythmically challenging, and it is good to practice with the metronome. And there's some accelerandos in here, so the student must be able to internalize those accelerandos. And lastly, the student must know how to read treble clef, especially in the higher ranges of the instrument. The next movement in this piece is the pain and the guilt stage of grief. It is in a minor key to portray the mood, and some challenges that students may encounter while learning this piece are that it's in 12/8 meter, and the student must think of it in 4. And some ways to help with feeling the internal subdivisions is incorporating Dalcroze exercises into lessons. So having them stomp out 1, 2, 3, 4, and then subdividing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's also a quadruplet in here, which is a note grouping of 4 played in the length of 3. And for phrasing, there's lots of swells. So the student must pay attention to where they are and where it fits musically. movement of this piece is the anger stage of grief. So we have a total character change from the previous movement. And some challenges in this movement specifically are that we have to get into that character. So that includes lots of vibrato to keep the intensity throughout the movement. And there's also lots of accidentals. And like I stated before, the students must know what it sounds like in their head and be able to put it on their instrument. And some ways to help with that are playing on the piano during their lesson. And if they don't have a piano at home, they can play it on a tuner. And in the last line of this movement, there is a total character change. So the student must be able to think about that right away. The final movement of this piece is the acceptance stage of grief. And in this movement, the orchestra part is in 3/4, but the viola part is not in a meter. So this movement is meant to be treated like a cadenza since the orchestra is just holding underneath. And this really opens up the opportunity for students to push and pull tempos and to really feel like what the character of this section is. This section is also mostly in treble clef, and it shifts up to 5th and 6th position quite frequently. So the student will have to be comfortable in this upper range of the instrument. And lastly, changing contact points to produce different colors in each section to contrast them.